Most accounting firms today are still running their client communications on Microsoft Outlook. First released when I was 9 years old, Outlook is a big reason why the average accountant spends upwards of a quarter of their time managing email. Gross. No longer. Today, an AI-first inbox tool that over 500 accounting firms have already switched to. That'll save you a pile of time to get back to whatever it is you do when you're not at work. I don't care, and honestly, I'd rather not know. In this video, I'll show you exactly how this video's sponsor Missive works, confirming what we all suspected, that Outlook is truly cooked. We're gonna run through how to use Missive to save yourself a pile of time. Second, how to better design the email flow of your entire accounting firm. And third is the cherry on top, some wild agentic AI stuff to make AI actually start managing some of this email flow for you. It is very cool, and you don't realize this if you're still rolling Outlook or Gmail. Email is a sneaky example where AI is already helping leading firms to get ahead. I told you over 500 firms have made the switch already, but I wanna show you, let you decide for yourself. Let's get tucked in. This is Missive. If you've never used a different email tool before, it is going to feel familiar. Up here on the top left, this is my personal inbox, all the stuff that I need to work on. We're gonna build this out so you can see how quick it actually is to get your firm running on this. I've got an email here. My bank has requested a copy of our financial statements. Great. I can hit reply. We'll get on that. I can send it now. I can send it later. Like tomorrow, it's a Sunday. I don't want my client to think I'm working on a Sunday. I can just snooze this sucker till tomorrow. I don't wanna see it right now. I want it out of my inbox. No, I don't, come back. By the way, Control Z, that works like a champ. Proper undo, it's the little things. Now, I am a busy person who needs help with my email, so I'm not gonna respond to this myself. I'm actually gonna trash this reply, get out of here. So I'm gonna come up here to the top, and I'm gonna assign this email to Tactical Mike. He can handle this. Now up here you can see everybody else that's part of this conversation. It says Tactical Mike has this conversation in his inbox.
Yes, sir.
But he hasn't seen all the messages yet. As in like he hasn't read it yet. Now you can just straight assign stuff. I can also come down here and say, can you jump on this, Mike? That'll add him to the conversation as well. And we can have a whole back and forth with our team here that the external person, the people on the email thread, can't see. Now if I want, I could even create a task, update the financials. Just realize we haven't actually done the financials yet. We're gonna assign that to Mike. Create task. It now shows up in the activity feed for this conversation. And for Mike, it'll show up under his task view. In fact, I'll just add myself over on tasks. Now you can see this is under to do. Missive does a number of things like this: tasks, calendar management, has little chat rooms. Whether those things make sense for you depends on like the rest of your systems. So you can turn all of this stuff on or off. I'm gonna focus on the email stuff here. Now, I don't want anything to do with this work. I'm gonna archive it, but that conversation, it is still in Mike's inbox so that he can handle it. Meaning anything that's coming into my personal inbox, I can now divvy that stuff up across my team. What you just saw was manual. We're gonna talk about a bunch of automated ways to do that. But if you look up here at how this is set up, under settings, under accounts, you can connect any number of email accounts to Missive. Here's the demo one I'm using right now. And if we scroll down, we can share this account with other people. So right now we're treating this as like jason@myfirm.com. It's only coming to me, and other people only see those messages if they get assigned to them or I tag them in that conversation you saw. But alternatively, I can make my own inbox show up in other people's inboxes. Like Todd here, Todd's my assistant. I can toggle that on. Now my emails show up in Todd's inbox as well. And this is a great feature. Optionally, I can disable message history. So Todd can't go back through like the archives. And this is a common problem if you're trying to get help from someone else on your inbox for the first time, which, by the way, I cannot recommend enough. Delegating your inbox. One of the best things I ever did. But one of the reasons we're afraid to do that is we don't want to give those people keys to the castle, like everything that's ever come into your inbox, right? And so if you just want to do this prospectively, you can do this. Your inbox can be shared with someone else. Alternatively, it can be shared with a team. We'll talk more about that in just a bit. Now remember I said you can connect any number of accounts. Let's add an account. You got Google, Outlook, everything that you want here, but also look at this. Instagram DMs, WhatsApp, your voice over IP system, meaning you can text clients from Missive as well. All that stuff's happening in one place. You can build out your own custom connections to other services. You can even set up a little chat widget on your website, like you know the thing down in the corner. Missive's got a support page showing how to set that up with Twilio. So you can even do like live chat inside of Missive alongside all of your email. And this is just a core limitation of email platforms, is they only solve for email, specifically your email. That is like jason@myfirm.com. And as long as we are living in the paradigm where we all have our own personal emails, and they're all like these individual hills that we all must die on, then in our accounting firms, we fail to treat those inboxes for what they are, which is like the receiving bay of your accounting firm. It's not this thing that should be private, that should be proprietary. It's a way that a lot of work comes in the door, and buddy, I need help. When somebody comes to you and they say, I'm gonna go on vacation for a week, but don't worry, I got my email on my phone, I'll keep an eye on it. You mean to tell me we got nobody else that can keep an eye on that inbox while they're out? When me, the big boss, when I get an email, it comes to me and I have to solve that problem. I had 40 people in my accounting firm. You mean to tell me none of these other 40 people were capable of responding to this email? Just me? But because email systems are designed for us to just work out of our own private inbox, we never get help. We don't know how to get help. Breaking down these silos can completely transform your accounting firm. Gang, this is a really easy way to do it. One more thing before I show you different team setups is Missive has the best AI reply functionality I've seen. Let me go scrounge up that email that I archived. Okay, I pulled this back to the inbox. Now, whenever you see these little emojis, it's AI trying to be helpful for you. So we can have it like summarize the thread if there's a whole bunch of messages. But I'm gonna hit reply, and here we've got several sort of suggested AI responses. Reply positively, negatively, or put in a custom prompt. I'll just say negatively. We're unable to provide them at this time. I'm so sorry. Now, if we want, we can actually write like totally custom prompts here. So I'm gonna say, you're responding to an email. Here it is. You see these placeholders down here. Bracket message will put the body of the text into the AI prompt. And I'll say reply positively, but in the tone of a swashbuckling pirate. No need for salutations at the end, I'll write that myself. Now, I'm gonna choose the 4.0 model. With Missive, you can actually connect your own OpenAI account so that you're only billed on model usage, which, unless you're doing an insane volume of this, is incredibly cheap. So I'm gonna generate a reply. Jason, ye be seeking the treasure map to your financial, okay. Pretty dumb example, but you can tailor that prompt to include anything you want. You can tailor that prompt to write the reply in a different language, like Klingon.
Cricket, crockett, zicken, nugget.
Or, here's another example. In the model options, some of these models can browse the web. So you can give it a prompt and say, go out and find the answer at this location. Maybe that's a help site on your website. Maybe that's some authoritative documentation. We can create these prompt templates, then just click the emoji to generate a response using whatever source materials you want it to use. Last thing I'll show you here is canned responses. I'll hit insert response. These are response templates that you can share with your team. So for example, this could be the delivery of a set of financial statements. Great news, your financials are ready, please find them attached. We can also insert variables. So we can say, in here we actually want the recipient's first name. We can create any number of these that we want. We can share them with our team. When they get updated centrally here, the next time your team uses that canned response, it'll be up to date. Super useful for the emails that you're writing like a high volume of. Okay, some cool stuff there, and hopefully a path to helping you delegate email. There's so many messages you get that someone else can handle, but this goes for your team as well, your most senior staff. When a client emails them 60 pages of docs, I don't want my senior tax person or my CFO wasting their time with that. Set the delegation example. Get help with your inbox, encourage your team to do the same. Okay, but let's talk about the overall flow of email in the entire firm. 3 different setups I wanna show you here. 1, how to create inboxes for your pods. That is the small teams within your firm. 2nd, the best ways to manage departmental inboxes. And then 3rd, how to use these same principles to manage actually your clients' inboxes. Like think accounting at yourclient.com. But first, the internal stuff. I'm gonna come up here into settings and I'm gonna create a team. We're gonna call them Green Pod. Teams can have members. Those are sort of the core folks doing the work of the team. We're gonna put Todd Neckletter on this one. And pods can also have observers. I'm gonna make myself an observer because I wanna see what's going on with my clients, but I don't want those messages coming into my inbox. I'm gonna change the team color. That needs to be green, obviously, right? And then create. Now, normally I would have probably 3 to 6 members in a pod. I find this is how most firms end up organizing themselves, maybe up to 30 employees or so, is you build to a team of 5, and then you're like, oh, I almost have to kind of clone this little small group of people. So you start a second pod, eventually develop pod leaders. Each pod is made up of like a senior and a junior, that sort of thing. That usually works up to like 20 or 30 employees, and then we'll talk about what you do next after that. I'm gonna create one other pod here. We'll call it Yellow Pod. We'll put Tactical Mike on that one. Okay, 2 teams now, and you'll see down on the left, because I am an observer of both, we have team spaces for the green pod and the yellow pod. Now, by default, you'll have an inbox and you'll have tasks. Under team settings, I could scroll down, I could enable a chat room for the team. Now you'll see a chat spaces like Microsoft Teams or Slack. Or if you want, you can strip all that stuff back and say, I really just want an inbox. Now all you got is just an email inbox with some sub options of who's assigned to what. Now what messages should go into these pod team inboxes? Well, if we go back to settings, remember when we looked at my account, under sharing, it wasn't shared with anybody. We thought about sharing it with Todd. But for people inside of my pods, most of the time, I would connect their account here, but then set all of their messages to be shared within their pod. The way I ran my teams, basically everybody was working together to serve a specific group of clients. These 4 staff worked on, these 50 clients. And so each member of that pod, we would connect their account and the emails that they got would be managed by the entire team. This let junior people support the seniors. It meant your most busy people weren't having to do email triage. They could get some help from the rest of their team. So in practice, everything that ends up landing here under green pod, it's gonna be the emails of the people in that team, at least with the way I have it set up right now. But let's say a client, one of those clients, emailed me. Maybe I was the first person they talked to, they're trying to sidestep the team, something like that. I'm gonna hit Command or Control K, brings up this cool kind of quick switcher, and go to our contacts. The guy that just sent me that email here, Jason Stats, we're gonna add him to a contact group. And we'll just call it green clients, as in clients that belong to the green pod. I'm gonna save this. See, now it says Jason's under green clients. And then under settings, I'm gonna create a rule to route messages from green clients to the green pod. Now, under rules, we can create both organization-wide rules and personal rules. This will be a personal rule because it's just for messages sent to me. So it's gonna be an incoming message rule, only for emails. We call this auto route green clients. I'm gonna say from is in the contact group green clients. I'm also gonna add a condition. Number of messages in the conversation is just 1. If I end up replying and then the client replies later on, like that's not the scenario I'm trying to handle. It's really just if they send me an email wanting me to solve something. Okay, then the action I'll have it take is we'll move the conversation to the team inbox green pod. I'll create that rule. Let's actually test this out. I'll push another email from Jason. Okay, new emails arrived inside of green pod from this client that we put into the green client group. As henceforth requested, my lender needs financials. Can lock in a rate if I send them in the next 18 minutes. Goodness sakes. So it shows up in the team inbox, but it also showed up in my inbox right here. And if we go back to that rule, you will see there was a setting. If you want, you can remove users that are not part of the team with that rule. So if I enable that, it won't show up in my inbox at all. It'll just go to the team's inbox. Doesn't that sound lovely? Okay, I'm gonna leave that as is. Back to that green inbox now. Who's on this one? Todd. Todd could reply. In reality, you're gonna have several people in this team inbox. And so what happens when somebody replies or when it's assigned to a specific person? Does it still show up for everyone or does it go away for everyone else? So like a junior can hop in and solve the problem and nobody else has to worry about it. Well, we go back to settings, to teams, and to our green pod settings. A bunch of great granular options here. Down at the bottom, you can decide when a user replies to a message in the team inbox, do you want to assign the conversation to the user automatically or leave the conversation in the team inbox? Then when the client responds, do you want to move the conversation to the assigned person's inbox only or put it back in the team inbox? It's going to be different case by case, right? But you've got all the options to dial this in however you need it. And if you want to see one thing that honestly I think makes this whole product like worth the money, look at this. You got analytics. You can set date filters. You can filter it by individual users, by teams. You've got first reply time, message volume, how many fall into each of these buckets. I'll find some graphics of actual live accounts and try to throw them up on screen here. But to have this data on your team, gang, that is so valuable. And they've like fully thought through how this ought to work. If we go back to team settings, into the green pod, we can actually see what the working hours for this team ought to be. Because if the team gets an email in the middle of the night, I don't want that to hurt somebody's response time, right? If they get an email on Sunday, I don't want my team responding on Sunday. You can set it according to the time zone. You can even add time spans if you've got like multiple chunks within a day. And all of that impacts how those analytics show up. You drinking the Kool-Aid yet? Man, it's good. And like, if you're paralyzed on like, where does a tool like this fit into my overall tech stack? The reality is, most people still using Outlook, still using Gmail. If you are, Please, there are vastly better tools. Missive, in my opinion, not all that expensive, particularly if you consider the amount of time that we spend on email. Many leaders, like myself, I spent more time in my email app than any other app that I used. If you're still on Outlook or Gmail, really think hard about this. Now, increasingly, practice management systems are including email in their platforms. A couple of them are doing that fairly well. Most of them are not. It is a very vanilla experience. Like, you can write out a text message, but that's about it. And so I think for most firms right now, we probably need a better solution to email. Okay, that was the pod approach to managing emails and teams. Let's talk about the department approach, because most firms, once they get to like maybe 20 or 30 people in total, rather than just having pods managing groups of clients, they start also developing functional teams. And so that's a team that only does bookkeeping behind the scenes, a team that only does payroll, a team that only does bill pay. So similar to how we set up those teams to support the pods, we can create teams around specific functional groups. So we'll say the payroll team, choose who the active members ought to be. I'll set myself as an observer again, and I'll create the payroll team. Now, what messages are gonna flow into the payroll team? Well, if that's all those team members do is payroll, that's probably where their emails go. Otherwise, think of all the sources of payroll-related emails. So notifications from payroll platforms, notifications from your time tracking apps, simply even having a place to assign payroll-related emails. So for example, we can come up here, say move this email to another team, pass the baton, say payroll team, this is your problem now. Now, many firms, you may have payroll@yourfirm.com as either a standalone email account or an alias. So we'll hop into settings. I'll show you how we can set that up. If I just go back to the one account I have connected here, I can create an alias, say add alias, and we'll call it a payroll demo realize@gmail.com. Just call it a payroll account, and we can share it with payroll team. Now, you'll notice if you want, you could disable this as an alias that users could send from. So by default, if we get an email to payroll@myfirm.com and my teammate replies, it'll be coming from payroll@ourfirm.com. I can disable that if I want to. I'm just gonna hit next. We can select which signature we wanna use. By the way, templated signatures you can use across specific users or aliases. Create this. Now we've got this alias. Now you can do the same for bills@yourfirm.com. You can do the same for Jim's Car Wash @yourfirm.com. However you organize your email aliases, we can set up teams to support that. But last, I wanna show you actually how you can use this to manage external client inboxes, like the client's inbox itself, before we get into AI rules, which is like the crazy party trick. So what I did in my firm is rather than having clients like auto forward all these invoices and all these different things to me, I would have the client set up a accounting@theirbusiness.com address, and then we would manage that inbox for them. We would actually log into it and we would pull invoices from it, and basically the rest of the people in their company could auto route things like bills and timesheets and whatever it is to that accounting inbox, and then my team managed that inbox. And just the same as you can connect any other account under settings, you would come in and you would add the account that is the client's address. Now at that point, you would probably share it to a team that was that client or the folks that managed that client. But then also, what we did in my case was we would have access to accounting@theclientsdomain.com, but we would also set up invoices at theclientsdomain.com, payroll at theclientsdomain.com. Those were aliases for the accounting email address. Similarly, we can come down here, create all the aliases we want for that client email address. Then in the team inbox, we've got accounting at the client, payroll at the client, invoices at the client, whatever you need. Because in my case, the folks that handled the invoices were different than the folks that handled the payroll, were different than the folks who just managed the account. And it means every member of your team can have a collection of inboxes here that are totally tailored to them. You can even create little groups here. So I can add a custom section. This whole left-hand bar is totally customizable. I'll say my custom section, and I can pull whatever I want into there. So I'm getting more help than ever before on email, because we can kind of build some delegation into this, auto route the stuff away from me that shouldn't come to me, but we can also keep this as simple as possible for your team so that they know just the things they need to worry about and can just not fuss with the other stuff. You ready for my favorite part? Let's talk about rules. I especially love Missive's approach to rules because of the AI stuff that's built in. But it has what you would expect from an email platform that has like email rules. Outlook has this, Gmail has a basic version of this. So like, it's just a really basic example. Under settings, we can create a rule where any incoming message that we get via email, we can take it as John's Car Wash. If the from address contains @johnscarwash.com, then just add the label John's Car Wash. create. And now any emails that get assigned to that label, they're gonna show up in this little labeled section that I can add on the left-hand side if I want to. But there are like way more ways that we can use rules. For example, let's say we wanna have a standard response time for our pods. We can create a rule. We'll call it overdue alert, 48 hours. We're gonna say if it's in the team, we'll add another condition. If it hasn't been replied to or opened in, let's say 2 days, then we're gonna push a notification saying, this email's been unreplied to in 2 days. And we'll restrict this to just users that are assigned on that email. Now, the next time an email's been sitting there for 2 days, everybody on the email is gonna get an alert. But we can also build AI workflows into these rules. And if you've been plugged into like big brain agentic AI stuff online, you may have seen like AI agents that can manage your entire email inbox. And the email comes in and then the AI decides what type of email is it? And then it does like this sequence of steps after that according to what type of email it is. Let me show you how to tippy toe into this stuff with Missive. It's pretty cool. So I'll flip back to personal rules and create a new incoming rule for all email messages. And this is gonna be an AI note for new contacts. So anytime I get an email from someone who is not in my contacts, so I'm gonna say none of these conditions must be met, then I'm gonna have it do this. It's gonna add an AI note. And this AI note is the response from the AI model. The prompt's gonna be, I'm an accounting professional and this person just reached out to me. Go find me some info about what they do and helpful links to learn more about them. I'm gonna connect my OpenAI account. I'm gonna pick the model with search. It can actually go out to the web and find information about this person. Now, anytime I get an email from a new contact, it'll drop a note in that conversation just for me that gives me some background about that person. Okay, let's actually test this out.
5 minutes later.
All right, emails arrived from a new contact. Do you accounting? I would like to inquire about bookkeeping services, thank you. But check it out, it's already popped this note down here. Jason Stats is a seasoned accounting professional and content creator based in Oregon, and it even gives some links to this information Ignition app? Wow, what a Trojan horse into somebody else's sponsored video. Anyways, it did all this before I even got into it. Pretty handy, right? Your mind starts thinking like, man, how could I even begin to use this? If you remember, this AI went out to the web. It searched the web to find this information. So in that prompt, we can even point it to specific sources, like my firm's help site or some other source of information. And so if we just zoom out, we think about all of the emails that we get. There's a lot of these that should go to other humans, but for what's left, how can I use AI to like categorize and then handle according to what category they were? And this is a good thing to sort of like diagram before you try to build it into a tool, is what buckets do your emails fall into? Newsletters, new client leads, something like this. Notifications from software tools. Just very simply, let's say we wanna label everything that looks like a newsletter. AI is very good at identifying this is a newsletter, not a thing from a human, in a way that explicit rules kind of can't identify quite as well. So let's create a new AI rule for this. It's another personal rule for my email. We'll call it label newsletter. We're gonna say if the number of messages in the conversation is just one, so it's the initial newsletter that I want it to catch here. But then look at this, OpenAI prompt. If the prompt result is, I'm gonna say yes, and then I'm gonna write the prompt down here, telling the prompt to only respond yes or no. So then this filter only catches if the response to the prompt is yes. So I'll put my prompt in. Does this email look like it's a newsletter, like something that wasn't written by a human and sent just to me? Simply reply yes or no. I'll connect my OpenAI account. In this case, I'm not gonna use the web search model, and then I'm gonna check this log prompt results in the conversation. This is so I can go back and see like, did the prompt break? Why didn't it work right? And then down here, I'll just have it add a label, newsletter. Again, this sort of classification, AI is very good at this. Like if, say you run a community or something in your firm and it's somebody having issues accessing their account. Well, maybe you want the IT guy handling that. So the prompt would be, this is somebody having trouble accessing their account or needing a password reset or something like that. Hand it off to an admin or an IT person. This prompt can be anything. Just in the prompt, say how you want it to respond, yes or no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. And then in the conditions, right up here, you say the prompt result has to be this to continue, or not be this, right? This is like very mind-opening stuff if you think about how this could be used to triage email. But we'll create this rule. Let me forward it, the last installment of my newsletter. You're on that, right? Cheeky little plug with the URL. Okay, email arrived. Look at this, you can already see it's been tagged newsletter. Scroll down here. Yeah, it's got the newsletter tag, and the prompt result was yes. That's pretty cool, because after that, we could piggyback any number of actions after that label is applied, including more AI stuff. I mean, you could have another rule that kicks off anytime a newsletter label is added, right? But we could also create a draft email with AI. You put the prompt in here, even maybe point it out to some external help documents to help it draft that reply. Maybe even best practices around like a sales script or something like that that's all built into the prompt. All that is factored into that AI draft inside of every conversation. Kind of makes your head spin, right? And so as cool as all of this stuff is, I wanna bring you back to fundamentals. Number one, get help with your inbox. It is very hard to delegate email in traditional email platforms. You can see how this makes it much easier. Number two, create a more logical flow for a team-based approach to email. Because for all the same reasons that you need help and you should delegate, your senior staff is the same way. They ought to be able to hand those messages off to a junior or an admin, someone that's in their pod or maybe outside their pod, just to help. And then third, and really only third at that point, is it big brain time? Do you really start geeking on, okay, AI can actually then do this. It can do the last mile of that one. That automated payroll confirmation, AI can actually pull the total bank draft from the email and then do something with it. It can flag this type of email if it ever sees it. It can route the invoice to the bill payment system in this scenario, but not in that scenario. And before you know it, you got a set of rules and AI doing a whole lot of heavy lifting on the back end for you. Pretty wild, right? Cool to think about, but start small. So what I like about Missive, very, very powerful, but also pretty straightforward. Like you can see how in 30 minutes, you're gonna have something very usable set up for you and your team. Thank you to today's sponsor, Missive. Check out the link down in the video description. More information there on getting started with Missive. And if you, like me, are pretty excited about what AI is actually already enabling for accounting firms, but you're gonna wanna check out this next one. We spilled some unbelievably cool new use cases, only possible now with the latest models from ChatGPT. We're talking QuickBooks stuff, tax stuff, completing entire like giant spreadsheets for you. Really, really cool stuff. Check that one out right up there.